Hey Aggie fans, come join the Front Row Show for a road game watch party this Saturday at Savannah's Barbecue, 880 South Main. Watch our Aggies take on the Rebels of UNLV. Kickoff 7 p.m.
The Front Row Show does not reflect the views of Utah State Athletics, or its affiliates.
Excuse me, what the hell's going on out here?
I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational. But that just wouldn't be our style.
Stick this in your trophy case.
Utah State football is looking like an unstoppable force all over again. And on the hardwood, Aggie basketball is set to begin their season with a bang against USC. All the good times that come with the month of November are here. And this is the Front Row Show. What is up, Aggie fans? Welcome again to the Front Row Show. We're operating a man down tonight, but as always, two of us still are your hosts. I'm Matt Sonnenberg.
And I'm Lance Rasmussen. This is normally where Jeff would say fancy stuff about following us on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook.
If you want to find out that, go to a previous episode.
We're not touching
We're not talking
tonight.
about it today. That's Jeff's job, and he's gone.
Hey, so the teacher's away, which means the mice can steal stuff.
We're gonna get in trouble
sure.
today on the podcast. It's like when you have a substitute teacher, you got to mess with them.
I'm really Bob Saget.
That's
tonight.
how we feel, and I'm Lance Rasmussen.
Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien.
But it was a big weekend, fun weekend. We had another Friday-Saturday doubleheader.
Yeah,
Aggie basketball on Friday, Aggie football on Saturday. First afternoon game too, and it was still a pretty solid turnout.
It stayed as an afternoon game despite the world's attempts to move it later into the evening, maybe.
Yeah,
so,
Hawaii apparently had a tough time getting here, but
our condolences over a tough situation in Los Angeles. But good game for us. Good game for the Aggies.
I tell you what, that game was an absolute blast to watch.
Yep.
Because even though it was a blowout, it wasn't without a few exciting moments here or there. There's some big plays. We got to see the freshman, Daryl Garrettson, really open it up quite a bit more. And even at one point, the Aggies had a comfortable lead, but Garrettson had just thrown an interception. And, there was a stop for a short gain, another stop for a short gain. It's third down and goal for Hawaii. And here comes Kyler Fackrell with just a play that really I could only describe as being so Kyler Fackrell.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the cool thing about it was he picked that ball out of the receiver's hands.
Yeah.
Like they've got there's screenshots of it that people have gotten from the game and other things, but like you watch him just reaching over the top of him and just past where the receiver's hands are, he's grabbing that ball and only he comes down with it, stays in bounds, makes the cut back to the center of the field, and then literally has a convoy of Aggies just heralding him down
as
the
he
field
burns
for a
every
touchdown.
potential defender. Let's play the audio from that, Trevor. This is something new. We haven't really done that, but roll the audio because it's a fantastic call from the video on CBS Sports Network.
Third down. Schroeder throws. Intercepted. Kyler Fackrell with a pick for Utah State. And here he goes on the run back. Kyler Fackrell is going to take this all the way for a Utah State touchdown. He's in 98 yards for the Aggies. How about that for the sophomore?
Goosebumps. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
That moment was, we had that doubt, and just I remember everyone around me, we were freaking out. We were hugging. Just a great play. You love to see one of your superstars just break off that big one. I think it was the happiest I've been on a defensive play since Will Davis last year when he had his pick six.
Well, this is yet another game along the same veins as the New Mexico game that everything seemed to work. And we're showing people that the weaknesses that people thought we were going to have into the season and that people were continuing to worry about aren't really as weak as people were imagining, especially in the weak part of the schedule. The number one and number two concerns coming into the season, well, let's go top three concerns coming into the season that I can recall. Wide receivers.
They've been phenomenal.
They've been absolutely phenomenal.
Absolutely incredible. It was Travis Reynolds leading the way with 8 catches for 152 yards and a touchdown. JoJo Natson had 7 catches. I mean, he's been the king of, those little dump-off passes,
Over
getting
the middle.
open real quick, and being there for a quick play. Travis Van Leeuwen had a few big ones, a 47-yard reception, which is another big play when Garrettson went up top to him. They've been phenomenal.
Ronald Butler even had a couple awesome,
Yeah.
some sprints down the field. I remember mid-third quarter, he made a catch and made a dive at the end where he seemed to fly for 8 or 9 yards in the air before hitting the ground. Wide receivers, short up. They're great.
Another quick note about that, too.
Go ahead.
Wyatt Houston gets his first career touchdown, I believe, with a 44-yard bomb when the defense blitzed and he just snuck behind there. Garrettson saw him. Once he got the ball in the air, there was no doubt.
Reminded me of a little bit of a play that went to Robert Turbin a couple years ago on a fake that Turbin literally had no one within 15 yards of him when he caught the ball. Houston, as soon as that ball was thrown in his direction, was scoring off that play. So great tight end play coming in there. The guys who are catching the ball for us right now are doing great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Opposite side of the equation, our secondary, 3 picks. Between the secondary, Fackrell counts was in coverage at the time, so you can drop him in there. But our defensive backfield has really been able to stand up and make a difference towards the end of the season. Our cornerback play is through the roof. Nevin Lawson is playing like a man possessed right now.
He is. He absolutely is.
And I think that was another concern people had coming into the season that is really starting to prove itself. And great thing is Coach Wells has even said it's not where they want him to be, but they're still a vastly better unit than what we thought they were going to be.
I think one thing that we've really seen over these last couple games, particularly New Mexico and Hawaii, as we've gotten past the really tough part of the schedule, is we said this needed to happen after Chucky Keaton got hurt. We said the rest of the team needed to step up and pick up the slack and show how good they are. And I think that has absolutely been the case. You look at Joey DiMartino, another 100-yard game on the ground. He had 104 total yards and a touchdown. Robert Marshall has just been lowering his head and barreling through defenders.
I think he's still averaging 4.5 yards a carry on the season.
He is doing well. And, you got to give it up to the kid, Daryl Garrettson. The kid has progressed already very well.
Well, he set the freshman passing record for yards
USU player
in history. Chucky Keaton hadn't held that record.
Yeah.
And he went in and took it. 370 yards passing in a game. And he had some phenomenal throws.
He did.
His touchdown pass to Travis Reynolds, the last one he threw to him in the third quarter. Travis Reynolds, in stride, literally had his hand placed on his ribs, and the ball fell into his breadbasket.
Yeah.
Phenomenal passing.
The
from
kid's
him
good.
game.
He's getting better pretty quick. I dare say we got ourselves a football player. And another shout out to a young guy, Jake Thompson. Gets his first career field goal attempt and knocks it down from 52 yards.
His injury in high school might be one of the best things that happened to us as far as our kicking unit goes, because he was on track to be an All-American by that point.
Yeah.
I remember he never missed in high school. Never.
Yeah. I remember I covered a game when Logan played East High in 2011. And I believe he was a junior at the time.
Yep.
He had a 58-yarder in that game. This is a high school junior nailing that. So, we'll see what the kids got as we move forward. But all around, solid game by the kids.
Well, and with the special teams theme, I want to give a shout-out to our kickoff squads right now. I think I read a stat somewhere that we're close to within the top 5, maybe at least the top 10. From what I remember, it was number 2, and that seems absurd to me. But in kickoff return yards for this season, which in the past has been a sore problem for us. How many times have we watched kickoff returns come back from high-quality opponents that have really, really messed us up?
Yeah.
We went against New Mexico, who had one of the best kickoff returners in the nation, shut them down.
Yeah.
We've gone up against teams, and right now we are holding kickoff returns at least to touchbacks. If not touchbacks, they're within the 20, 15-yard lines, and we're setting up our defense with awesome field position to be able to hold out.
10 kickoffs by Jake Thompson in the game, 8 of them touchbacks.
It's great.
That'll tell a lot of the story there. Moving ahead, next week it is, this one looks a little bit tougher than we might have thought at the start of the year. The Aggies go on the road.
From a record standpoint.
From a record standpoint, yeah. They've beaten a few cupcakes, and they've gotten beat by a cupcake or two. But UNLV, Aggies go on the road to Las Vegas to that just abysmal location that is Sam Boyd Stadium. If you've ever been there, it is horrible. I'm probably going Saturday.
Yeah.
But this one, this is I think the smallest point spread that we've seen since we entered these last 5 games of Mountain West play. I think we opened up as 14-point favorites, which is still pretty good when you're going on the road. And UNLV's defense is bad, kind of like the last couple teams we've played.
And that's really where it's going to come up against. Is the strength of our team right now is our defense, although our offense is making a bit of a push to try to prove some stuff to me. And their strength of their team is not their defense. So we throw our strength against their strength, which is an offense that can put some points up on the board, and I don't see them stopping what we're going to be throwing at them. So obviously, once again, we're predicting a victory for this game. The question is going to be how exactly that falls out.
Basically, when it comes down to it, my notes on this game that I jotted down before the show are 3 points. Kind of the same theme as last week's opponent. They suck, but don't sleep on them. They could surprise you. They got a few playmakers. I mean, we only beat them by 18 or something in Romney last year, the whiteout game. So they can make a play here and there. But the way the Aggies are playing right now, man, it is going to be an uphill battle for anybody taking on this team throughout the rest of this season.
This game is one that actually scares me for my prediction of 3 touchdowns for the rest of the season, because I gave up one of those in the Hawaii game, so I got 2 more to distribute in the next 3 games. UNLV is probably the one that scares me the most at this point, just because they're averaging something like 32 points per game. You could see them put up some points. The question is whether they're going to be able to put up enough to outscore what our offense is going to be able to do to their defense, and I just don't see it happening.
Moving back to basketball. That was a little quick preview of UNLV because,
there's not much to say about that one. How much
can you say about it?
Because really, we're going to go in where the Aggies are going to take care of business. We'll see some pretty cool stuff show up, but it's once again, and I mean we've talked about it before. I'm not predicting we lose potentially until a potential Mountain West Conference championship game.
It's a possibility, and at the same time, like as a visiting fan or podcaster trying to preview UNLV, it's just, what do you know about them? You don't study them. There's bigger fish to fry. It's like if somebody 8 years ago was trying to do a visiting team trying to do a preview on Utah State football. Half the Aggie fans weren't even paying attention back then. So how the hell can we expect other people to be on top of UNLV? But I mean, if you can, now here's what I'm throwing out there. This is my plan. I'm looking at a USC basketball game this Friday night in the Spectrum, and then either leave right after and drive through the night to Las Vegas, or get up early in the next morning and drive to Las Vegas, because I believe it's a 6 o'clock kickoff. So, I mean, that's very doable in a day. You can get to Vegas in 7 hours.
Yeah. Well, and real quick shout out for those of us who are here. We'll have our normal front row show watch party going on at Savannah's, I believe.
Ooh, which if I don't make it to Vegas, I will be at, because 2 for 2, that one has been a blast.
Get a bunch of people together, a bunch of people who are just solid on the Aggies, great food. They support us really well out there. TV's got a great setup in that back room, so come out and join us.
And here's the thing. If I'm there, you can be like as loud and as obnoxious as you want, and you don't have to worry about being the most loud and most obnoxious a-hole there, because I got that covered.
Yeah.
But I expect high fives. I will throw out high fives.
Well, and as you all know, I am a huge fan of Matt's high fives. Like, if you haven't had a high five from Matt. Now, granted, I should be talking about how good the food at Savannah's is. But if you've never had a high five from Matt Sonnenberg, it's an experience. I would pay money to get high fives from this guy. Oh, crap. There's mics in the way. This might not
reaching across the table.
Oh, my gosh. Man. That was awkward, and it was still great.
The microphone's got that.
Oh, my gosh.
That's what you get. That's what you will get if I don't make it to Las Vegas and you make it to Savannah's. However, if I'm not there, Lance has got you covered.
I'll be
with
there.
These high fives.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, how much fun is a high five? It's fantastic. While we're at it, let's just give a random plug. Go to the website funnyordie.com and just search high five. There are a couple videos that are phenomenal of these guys doing high five montages, which, Lance, we might need to resurrect this topic, because a few years back, me and a buddy of mine, James Allred, actually shot a handful of things that was high five Logan. We went around a handful of different landmarks in Logan and did high fives near them, and then like this stare down into the camera. And we had this elaborate plan to get Stu Morrill involved in it. Gary Anderson at the time. Oh, it might have been Brent Guy who was still there.
No,
we were waiting on that one. We were waiting to see who came up next.
Touch that.
But Scott Barnes in the picture. We were going to get all these high-profile people to be a part of the high five video. But it just never materialized. I still have the footage of those ones we did have.
We can throw that on the back burner.
If we want to see what Matt looked like 5 years ago, oh boy.
Yeah, man. 5 years ago, I looked exactly the same with less facial hair.
Well,
kind of boring.
I hope people aren't bored by our high fives. But I tell you what, you kick Jeff Browning out of the equation for a night, and Lance and I are going to turn this into a party. Yeah. This feels a lot more like one of those more casual podcasts.
Yeah,
that people download.
We took care of business talking about football there for a bit.
We did, and you know what? Let's turn the corner to another sport.
Let's go hit some basketball.
We kept it sports oriented with high five.
Oh yeah,
that's all I got to say. Utah State played Adams State. Another convincing win. This time wasn't horribly sloppy.
Yeah.
This one the Aggies actually played some defense, and quite a bit of it, mind you.
Well, and the big complaint that I saw coming out of that first game is our perimeter defense going to really be able to do something? And you could see Stu Morrill was on his players about this. Someone gave up a three-pointer, next possession change, or next timeout, next opportunity, they were out of the game. He was benching players who were giving up points on the perimeter, and it showed because beyond about 6 or 7 minutes into the game, we shut them down from outside.
Absolutely. Speaking of scoring from the perimeter, Danny freaking Berger, Mr. Back from the Dead himself, has literally been unstoppable
Iron
from three-point range. He went 4 for 4 in this last game. 2 for 2 in the first exhibition game. Dude cannot miss. It's like you get it to him on the corner behind the three-point line, he is going to bury. And it's not just that he hasn't missed. I'm not sure he's even hit the rim on any of those. He's just straight swishing balls left and right.
Well, I've been saying it since he got here, and it's so funny to me that people look at him and they just give this instant assessment of, obviously that kid's not going to be able to ball. You watch some of the stuff he's thrown up on Vine and Instagram, some of the Twitter videos that he's thrown out. He's an athletic freak. He can get up, he can dunk, but he can also shoot from outside. And I go straight back to what his coaches at a high school were saying, which was he has no business playing on the court at Utah State because he is better than what this program is apparently supposed to be able to offer him. And we haven't seen it in the past. I think he was a bit over his head. You know, we had the mission transition that ended up coming through and messing with stuff. And I really think that he's finally settled into where he's going to be able to play within this program to the level where we can expect him to. It's going to be deadly. And not only that, but let's talk about our entire series of guard play in general and being able to shoot from outside. You know?
It's pretty spectacular so far. I mean, you know what you've got out of Preston Medlin. You know what you've got out of Spencer Butterfield, but it's gone pretty well beyond that so far with Berger, obviously, I think, leading the charge. JoJo McGlaston, I mean, there was one possession where I think he might have taken 3 shots on the same possession. I mean, I was thinking third time's a charm. Not the case. And Stu, I'm sure, let him hear it. But he ended up finishing the game 2 for 6. Not bad. You got Tanale Rowland, who finished last year on an absolute tear. And let's also not forget Ben Clifford. When he gets healthy, dude can shoot it from deep, and he will make it.
I mean, I remember them talking about it, especially people who had covered him back in his prep days when he was back, winning Player of the Year in the state of Utah and whatnot.
No big deal.
No big deal there. But he would shoot regularly from outside during his high school days and was shooting a very good percentage. I don't remember. Can we pull up what he shot towards the end of last year? I think he was averaging.
It was ridiculous. I know that much.
Something nuts towards the last few games that he ran through.
I want to say he might have shot 4 for 5 from deep in that WAC tournament game. Yeah. I mean, he finished on an absolute tear last year. And then, you never know who else is going to step up as the year goes on. I mean, JoJo McGlaston maybe he had that green light for a reason. Jalen Moore also, he hit 1 of 3. I think we'll see him slashing to the basket a lot more, but
and I also
he's
think
got the height that if guys aren't right on him, he's going to shoot it over them.
And you'll also see him get a little bit more accustomed to the new facial headwear that he had to be wearing for the game. It's always going to throw you off as a shooter at first, you know?
Here's what I don't get. How does he maintain the consistency of the afro through the straps of the face mask? I think it just lends that much more marvel to Jalen Moore's afro.
You really want to know what my running theory on it is that he grew the face mask out of the fro. Like, literally, he just wished it into being, and magically the fro formed up over his face.
I don't know if it was he that wished it. It had to have been his fro. Because, I mean, Jalen Moore is one thing. Jalen Moore's afro seems to have
completely
powers
different story. No, I'm serious. Like, I really think, like...
What powers, you ask?
How about
we're
the
not
power
even going to get into
kill a
that.
yak?
From 300 yards away.
That's telekinesis,
with
man.
mind bullets. Once again, this is how it's going with Lance and I. If you're entertained, tweet us because we will start a side podcast.
And
of
here's
just Lance
the
and Matt
here's the
going
big
at
deal.
it.
Friendship is rare. That's really what it comes down to. And if you really find, you could be running naked in the sand or form a band even. But as long as there's a record deal, Matt, we'll always be friends.
I was really hoping after forming a band and Naked in the Sand that the next line was going to rhyme. And you were getting theatrical on me. But it's okay. It's okay. Let's look ahead, though. I mean, we know we got Adam State. However, we did see that this same team has given a handful of teams that USU is going to play this year a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Just a side note. I mean, it's exhibition. There's always something. You can't take too much from it. It's early in the year. Guys are learning. Teams are going to grow. They're going to gel. But, I mean, it's still kind of funny to see, teams like this give teams like UNLV a really tough time like they did. And
Weber State a tough time.
Exactly.
Which they did. And, I can understand in one place or another being able to say, hey, there's obviously no correlation between the way the teams play in game out, but they played 2 of our opponents within 10 points.
Yeah.
And they played us within 40.
Yeah.
And I realize that, there's a lot of people who say there's 0 conclusions to be drawn from this. I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, even to cut straight to the numbers, 37 personal fouls, and Weber State shot 57?
57 free throws shot by Weber State.
How many did they make?
They made 37
37, okay? And Weber State won that game by only 8 points. Literally, they were handed 28 points to make that victory worthwhile to them on the free throw line. And
they shot 34 more free throws than Adam State.
That is saying something huge. Because, Adam State was able to keep that game that close, even with potentially, I mean, that would almost foul out, 7 of your guys?
Yeah.
You could take your first 7 and every single one of them
would have fouled out USU's entire team down the stretch last season.
Year, the entire team
would have been Connor
gone.
Garner and Matt Lopez versus 5 guys.
Wow.
And another note, it's not like Adam State got hot from 3 and just was lighting them up. They were 5 of 17 for the game. Not good. That's 29%. So they somehow still hung in that game.
And then I don't know if we have stats pulled up for what was going on as earlier tonight at time of recording when they kept it within 5 points against national powerhouse ranked in the top 25 UNLV or whatever
from
they're
the number 1
be,
RPI conference in the country,
who also lost to Dixie State.
There's no way we'll be able to hang with
ever. Their athletes are more than we'll ever be able to handle.
Right.
Or Dixie State would be able to handle.
I think it speaks to, one, the improvement of USU. I think they got better from first exhibition to second exhibition, very noticeably. It's like they patched all the holes they needed to. You know who else got better? The Herd.
Oh, yeah.
Section F is looking like Section F.
Which is,
wonderful. Haters beware. And I was one of them. I have been one of them the last 2 years, last year especially. But holy cow,
guys are bringing their game again.
Looks like a freaking party all over again.
I can promise you, starting with the USC game, things are going to be taken to a level that we haven't seen in 3 years or so.
I can dig it.
Yeah?
Let's talk a little bit about that USC game. I don't know a ton about their team. They got some scoring punch coming back, and they got a fancy new head coach who got a lot of people pretty stoked on March Madness last year.
And there's in classic USC fashion, and this will come up throughout the week as we know, but this hire was the most en vogue thing they could do.
Yeah.
USC stepped out with a giant paycheck and said, let's grab the flashiest name we can find right now.
Bring him to Hollywood.
And they did.
They did. That's absolutely what they did. Not to say it's a bad hire. I mean, it could turn out to be a great hire.
He has a coaching resume. He did great stuff at Florida Gulf Coast,
Yeah.
And they did wonderful in the NCAA. No discrediting what that team was supposed to do. It's going to be interesting to see what he can come in and do with foreign players that he has not recruited into the system he's doing and trying to completely change up the way that USC runs.
And that's what I think could be a challenge early on for him. And it's a tremendous opportunity for Utah State returning this much talent like they do to take on a big name team. I mean, say what you will about Pac-12 basketball the last couple of years, it has been terrible, but there's just still something about getting those wins. I mean, if people are looking over an NCAA tournament resume, even if USC's not very good, they're going to see that and think, oh, USC, not bad. All right, good win. It's going to make more of an impact than, say, a win over, a win over like a Weber State, who's always the cream of the crop of the Big Sky, who I think, in many years, probably over the last few, probably would have beaten USC. I mean, while they were buried in sanctions and all.
Right.
But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be exciting. I think the spectrum is going to be off the chain.
Well, and here's the big thing. They're returning 2 starters this year in JT Terrell and Byron Wesley, who combined for 22 points per game last year.
Good average.
It's a good average, but those are their only 2 returning starters. The majority of the rest of their team played pretty garbage minutes or really weren't solid big contributors. They're returning some experience, at least on a numerical value of people who have been on the squad for a bit, but really no other solid contributors beyond those 2 guys. Both of them are look to be outside scorers. We're going to be looking at that perimeter defense is going to be pretty pivotal. And if Florida Gulf Coast is any sign, we're going to have to be able to defend in transition because that was the number one thing. And you watch, all of Florida Gulf Coast's game was getting quick pickup off transition baskets, getting into the paint, and really lighting people up through individual strategy play against defenses that were not set. Once they started having to run offenses last year, they could not hold with teams. So that's going to be our big thing, is if we can slow their game up and force them to play against our defense and control the pace of the game, which, if I may say, Stu Morrill is a master of doing.
That's exactly the point I was about to make.
Where we should be in good shape.
How many teams have we seen where they were a fast-paced run-and-gun team where you're thinking, our offense isn't going to be able to keep up because they're going to get a lot of points off these extra possessions. And what do you know? Stu comes out, has his guys hustling back, and completely slows down the pace of the game to what Stu wants. Because Stu will get what he wants. And what he wants is wins and defense. And he's going to get them against USC. He's going to slow them down, and Spencer Butterfield's going to destroy their faces.
And what's going to be real interesting about it is in the previous exhibition games, we've seen him really kind of up the pace. We're taking early shots on the shot clock. We're running things down. We're not usually waiting through the full 35-second of the clock, which we normally would do with this squad. If we're going up against another high-paced squad and Stu knows that he's going to be able to pull an advantage by slowing this game down, the guys on the team know the system. I mean, we're not going to need to worry about it. You will watch us waste the first 15 seconds in setting up our sets. I shouldn't say waste. I should say utilize. In a completely awesome strategic manner. You'll watch us set up, and then at 20 seconds start really running the sets down, keeping it a low-scoring game, and hopefully be able to pull this one out with a victory.
I'll say this much about running a fast pace, because I think USU's also got some guys that could really cause some frustration for a team trying to run a fast-paced offense, because Marcel Davis is a smart basketball player, and he is athletic and can get in the way of a lot of things. Same with Preston Medlin and Spencer Butterfield. And Jalen Moore is showing that propensity.
Preston Medlin, real quick shout out to him. Some of the best court vision in general I have ever seen in my life. You go back and watch the highlights of the first exhibition game, and he had a pass down the court three-quarters
Jalen
length
Moore,
to
yeah.
Jalen Moore for a dunk that just was – it went through 3 defenders and straight into Jalen's hands.
Speaking of dunking, we have got to mention Kyle Davis's dunk.
Oh, my gosh.
That was awesome. He kind of Blake Griffin somebody on there, it seemed like. And the herd behind the basket followed it up with some Froggy Fresh.
Froggy Fresh.
Why is Mike crying?
Because he just got dunked on. Which is now a thing.
It's going to be a thing.
You will watch that become something. It'll be a bit more official this week.
Huge ups to the likes of Charlie Riddle, Brian Isom, Thomas Rogers, those guys back there who they seem to get it now. They seem to have taken it upon themselves as a point of pride that Section F is supposed to raise all hell. And there's a lot of veteran presence down there now who wants to see the Spectrum come back, and they're just bringing out that creativity that honestly, the last couple games, last game especially, it's been as good as ever down there.
Yep. And you're going to see it get better once we actually get the student section full, as opposed to about the half to 3/4 that we've been seeing for exhibition. Things can get insane.
And you know what? Even for exhibition, those have been good crowds.
Good crowds, and they've been loud and dedicated.
Yes.
I actually had to miss some of the last game just due to my major requirements. The radio that I was listening to while sitting downstairs at the theater, brilliant. You could hear them loud and clear over Al Lewis. I mean, it was
what we need.
Unlike anything I've heard in probably the past 2 seasons, especially this early on.
Beautiful.
Shout out to him. And real quick, while we're talking about transition basketball, which is what we were covering before the Kyle Davis thing, Jordan Stone can run the court in a way that someone of his size should not be able to do.
He's turned the corner, it looks like. I mean, he'll still get better, I think, but even if he doesn't, we got ourselves a ball player now in Jordan Stone. He can make a move or two in the post. Look, we've said it all along. Stu Morrill will coach a big man up, and if he's got that frame to work with in Jordan Stone, he's going to turn him into something. We don't know what for sure, but he's going to turn him into something, and it looks like he's really turning him into something here.
And we have what we can refer to as the classic second-year growth spurt. Now, granted, with Stone, we're a little past that second year.
Yeah.
But once it clicks good. He looks like he's in better shape. He looks like he's got that tenacity he's always enjoyed, but he looks like he's playing Stu Morrill's smart post basketball at this point. And it showed. I mean, we talked about it before that there are plays being called specifically for him to get him the ball in the post to score, which you wouldn't have seen last year.
Absolutely not. But he's coming up, and watch out for him.
Yeah. That's not even talking about some of the contributions that were made by Jared Shaw,
who's been spectacular.
And it's just been a machine gun as far as his consistency and what's been able to go on. I am stoked to see what's going to be able to go on with basketball officially starting this Friday.
Be there.
Let's get it rolled out.
Be there. Moving ahead, we wanted to do a hot topic this week, but we figured there's something more important going on, and that is the retirement of a longtime dedicated member. I'll call him a member of the Utah State football program. He is known as the Night Runner. His name is Steve Wiley. He's calling it quits after I don't know how many years of driving the equipment truck all around the country for the Aggies to get their equipment to road games, and not getting paid for this. He's donating his truck and his time and his effort to make this happen for the team. This weekend, the road trip to UNLV will be his final voyage as the Night Runner, and we had to give a shout out to him for years of dedicated service. You could say that nobody gave more to the Aggies than he has.
Well, and it is a big thing because he wasn't driving out for teams that were 11-2, or 8-4, or 4-8. He was driving them for teams that were 1-11, you know, and just completely selflessly saying, I am dedicated and love this program enough that I am willing to do all of this regardless. Now, granted, we apparently the transfer of equipment is going to be taken over, and he's still going to be on staff technically as an assistant, be able to be on the sidelines and hang out. More to him, but the fact is he's put so much time and dedication into a program, and just out of sheer love for what is Aggie football, deserves every pat on the back, every shout out we can give him. Thank you
every
for
picture in the
done.
USU Football Hall of Fame.
Every single time that he shows
there.
up on TV, because he just is a magnet for the camera when players are coming off.
Absolutely.
He deserves every bit of accolade we can give him. Thank you so much for what you've done. I don't know if there's any chance you'll actually hear this, but thank you for everything you've done for Aggie football. If you hear it
and you have a chance to tell him, let him know that the appreciation runs deep and it runs wide from all of Aggie Nation that knows who he is and what he's done. And for those that don't, find out who he is and what he's done, because really, it's pretty spectacular that we've had somebody like this in our midst to guide this program and be there with them through so many dark times, now into this era of greatness that we're in. So, Steve, I don't even know how else to say thank you.
Just thanks.
Yeah, thanks for all you've done. Go Aggies.
Well, Jeff's not here. And he's usually the one to do this whole technology thing.
He's reading the tweets normally, but we don't have him.
Here we go with this tweet sheet.
Should we call it the tweet sheet?
Tweet sheet?
Sounds legit. Let's roll with it.
All right, here we go. Opening up the app on my telephone. All right, signed in with the password for the account. God, how does he do this? This guy's must be mad at it. All right.
He has an iPad.
Oh. Better than my phone, huh? All right. First tweet comes into us from an old, apparently some sort of friend of the program named Josh McDonald.
Josh McDonald?
I don't know.
Doesn't sound familiar.
I don't know who that dude is. But he actually, and we'll combine this one with a tweet from our friend Charlie Riddle, who you gave a shout out to earlier.
Okay.
Leader of the herd.
Okay.
Kind of questions along a similar vein, so we'll talk about both of them. I'll ask them both, and then we can riff on it a little bit.
Let's do it.
USU front row with Andy Enfield making his USC debut in the Respect Room. Which team comes away with the biggest dunk, and who is it? From Josh. And then from Charlie, will USU have 24-plus alley-oop attempts on Friday, and will Jalen Moore remind USC that he is Jalen Moore and they are not?
Oh, Charlie, you went there.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and make a bold prediction. USC will have the biggest dunk of the night. And you know what? They can have it, because I think Utah State's going to come out with the victory. As far as Jalen Moore, what was the second part of the question?
If Jalen Moore is going to remind them that he is Jalen Moore and they are not.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he is going to have something in this game where he does some move. You got to think he's itching for a chance. His first actual game in the Spectrum.
Nationally televised.
The hometown kid wants to do something big, make that one just ankle-breaking move to the basket and finish strong, and just flex his muscles and flex his afro and show off that rhinoplasty.
Could you imagine if that afro just grows tiny arms and then flexes along with Jalen?
Would I be surprised?
No.
Not at all. But it's going to be an entertaining game. There's going to be, I think, a lot of dunk attempts on probably both sides. But I would say USC will attempt more. They'll throw some stupid passes. And here's the thing. If we get the Spectrum rocking, all right, and they try something stupid and, like, throw a ball away on an alley-oop attempt or make a bad pass, and it gives USU a possession, and the crowd's already rocking, they're going to learn real quick what the Spectrum's all about if it's running at full steam.
So can I make a bold prediction as well?
Do it.
Utah State's taking the dunk of the game, and it's coming from a white guy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't understand why color matters.
It's going to – shut up. Danny Berger or Kyle Davis, all right?
Dude, if it's you know what? I would love nothing more than it to be Danny Berger.
Yeah.
In his first regular season game back. That would be absolutely amazing.
No, that's my prediction. It's going to be Berger or Davis. We'll see which one of the two.
You know what?
Pull it off.
I'm just gonna one up it. I'm gonna go. It's gonna be Danny Berger on an alley oop where he doesn't just catch it and put it in two hands. No, he catches it one handed, cocks it back, and puts Keyshawn Reed to shame.
Like the hammer of Thor.
Basically, Mjolnir.
Because as I've been stating for a while, he is the entire canon of Marvel superheroes in one person. You can run on that one for however long you want.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah. I think the Phoenix is the next reference I'll have to get in there somehow.
I can dig it.
Yeah.
Should we throw in a plug for Death Rate Comics?
Why not?
Fellow podcasters.
Yeah.
Go buy comics at Death Rate Comics, friends of the program.
There we go.
And a local Aggie doing his best in the business. Anyway, what's our next tweet, Lance?
Next tweet. Gosh.
We're gonna get Death Ray to tweet us a question, and
Let's do it.
We're gonna ask him on the show. I'm gonna go have a talk with that local comic book guy.
All right. Next tweet comes to us from Elise Bacchus.
Also friend of the program.
Asking, will bowl bids come after the last game or after the Mountain West Conference game? And says, no potatoes, been there, done that.
I think they will come after the Mountain West Championship game, because the reason is this. Say we have a matchup of so Fresno State's going to be one of the teams in that game. We basically know that. And the other team is going to be either Utah State or Boise State. I think we can pretty solidly say that. If Fresno State wins, they're going to a BCS Bowl. If Boise State or Utah State wins, they're probably going to the Las Vegas Bowl. We won't know which one just yet, and there's a pretty decent chance that even if Fresno wins and goes BCS, the loser of that game will go Las Vegas Bowl. We won't know for sure, but I think
you got to wait for the trickle down.
There's a chance. All right, I'll say this. Say Utah State is not in the Mountain West Championship game. I know, it sounds silly, but let me go on. Say they're not in the Mountain West Championship game, and you basically have a scenario where Fresno is probably going BCS regardless of outcome. I mean, you could make that fair argument. Now that we've seen a non-BCS team do it with a loss on their record last year, we could see that again.
Depending on how many undefeateds are in front of them still at that point.
But the precedent has been set. That's the point.
Right.
We could see a scenario where USU's bowl invitation comes out after the last regular season game.
If we're not in the Mountain West Conference Championship game.
Right. Like I said, that's absurd.
Yeah. No, and it's going to be interesting. I'm not quite sure. There are so many places that we can go this year. Literally, option after option. What is it? We got the Poinsettia Bowl's technically an option that we
Craft
can
Fight Hunger Bowl.
The Fight Hunger Bowl. We've got the Military Bowl.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe the Hawaii Bowl.
The Sheridan Hawaii Bowl, as well as the famous Idaho Potato Bowl.
Which, I mean, I'll say this. I would like to go somewhere else for the bowl game because, been there, done that. But I tell you what, if our worst case scenario in the Mountain West of going bowling is Idaho, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it was so much fun.
I mean,
each of the last 2 years.
They handle a great crowd up there. Getting up there, the game was always fun. It was awesome driving and seeing Aggie flags, plates, and decals.
Aggies go and take over that town.
Hey, my shout out to Aggie Nation for last year's game. I was stuck in the middle of Burley, Idaho with my friends, and Aggie Nation hopped on Twitter and helped us out, got people up there. Hashtag Burley Forum. You have to go look that up. Me and Steve Swartzman and a couple other people went to that game.
Doesn't sound too unlike the time our car broke down in Lovelock, Nevada on our way to Reno, and we had to fight our way to get there and then, get a car fixed and then somehow made it home. Yeah. I don't know how.
No,
that trip sucked, though.
Yeah. No, but our trip ended up pretty cool aside from the fact that Steve was out a lot of money, but Look,
the moral of the story, Boise is greater than Reno.
Yeah.
No question. We made the biggest little mistake of our lives going to that place. Lance, what's our next question?
Oh, next question. I'm terrible at this.
All right, just to give everyone an idea. For one, we knew this show was going to be crazy with just Lance and I. And really, we've kind of removed all filter as things went on. Really, once we started talking basketball, which is great.
It really started with the high five thing.
The high
to
five.
Be very honest.
Well, because high fives are awesome, and I stand by that.
I am a little disappointed. I tweeted out that we were expecting like a 475% increase in video game references, and we haven't really stumbled onto that one yet.
Show's not over.
We've had a couple good ones in there, but we'll just keep that in mind. Sam Briner, how many times will Stu be doing the sweep dance this year?
All right. First off, I got to give a shout out to Sam, who my former assistant sports editor when I started at the old Utah Statesman. So somewhat a mentor of mine. I think he was assistant sports editor, maybe senior writer. I don't know. It was a long time ago. Point being, what's up, Sam? The sweep dance this year.
Pull up the schedule. See how many road trips we have.
Well, I will if UtahStateAggies.com isn't still down. But hey, look, it works now. Wasn't working before the show. All right.
Thanks, Utah State.
I'll say this: if we get only one sweep dance this year, I hope that it comes on the weekend that we travel to New Mexico. Well, I don't know. Maybe Boise State and UNLV. That's a nice little sweep dance weekend going on there. And the only other double header of road games that we have in the only back-to-back road games we have are New Mexico and San Jose State. Kind of a funky setup with the Mountain West Conference schedule where
we don't. It's just single road games.
We have only 2 times of home games bunched together and 2 times of road games bunched together in the same weekend.
So
Otherwise, it's a lot of one at home, one on the road.
Okay, well, so prediction of the 2 possibilities, which one is going to be a sweep dance, or both if they can be? How many will be sweep dances? Which of them and why?
Oh, geez. I'm going to go at Boise State and at UNLV will be our sweep dance weekend because UNLV, I mean, even some of their fans admit that they've got some issues right now. They don't know. They've got some uncertainty going. We saw what's happened with them in their exhibition games. I think they'll get it going just fine. But I see that game as more winnable right now than New Mexico. New Mexico is going to be a battle, no question. And having to go into the pit, I think, is going to be tough. It's tough for anyone. Yep. And then Boise State, I think I just have this gut feeling that we're going to show back up and be like, hey, guys, remember the whack? We're back. And we're going to do what we did to them just
every other time.
Often.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't see us beating New Mexico on the road. The only thing that I think would actually give us the key advantage in that game, and I talked about this a little last week, is the fact that they are going through that coaching change. And we've got that's the one advantage that we have over just about every other team in the conference, except for maybe Boise State and certainly not for San Diego State. Everyone else is going through coaching changes of less than 2 or 3 years. Sometimes, I mean, with New Mexico, it's
Nevada.
1.
Nevada's another one and David Carter's been there, I think, 4 years.
4
now.
years at this point. So hasn't, necessarily really done very well for Nevada.
Not necessarily. Not really. I mean, like he's had his ups and downs. He won the WAC in his last year there, but that was a USU team hurt by injuries, and so asterisk that, will ya?
But no, I think if it is going to happen this year, and I do think it will happen. I believe Matt is correct in this one in saying that a Boise State UNLV sweep on the road will be this team's sweep dance until, I don't know, does Stu do the sweep dance for a tournament situation?
Man, I would hope so.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. He probably at that point is just ready to celebrate.
Basketball players who listen to this podcast who may have seen the sweep dance or not seen it at a tournament. Tweet us out, let us know.
Preston Medlin and Ben Clifford would be the only potentials.
Former players that
yeah.
Anyone who might listen to this who played on the team between 2006 and 2011.
Gary Wilkinson, hit me up, man.
Yeah.
Long time no see.
Tweet us about if he does the sweep dance for tournaments, if you guys win the conference tournament, let us know.
We want to know. Yeah.
That'd be great because
did we just take the tweet sheet segment and basically send out an invitation for tweets? Like, we almost tweeted players with that.
That's like meta tweet.
It was like podcast inception.
Podcastception. No, it's just not going to work.
Castception.
Castception. There we go.
Nailed it. Next question.
Next question. And I think it's our final question from our good friend. Where'd you go?
I bet his name's Derek.
It is Derek. Will USU have more fans than UNLV this next week at the game?
I'm going to say no. It's a busy weekend. You have the USC game here on Friday, and not many people are dumb enough as I am to get in the car and drive straight to Vegas for the next game. I think we'll have a nice little turnout from USU in Vegas. I think we'll probably have, 300-400 fans there, but UNLV is still going to have probably around at least 15,000-20,000.
Well, you got to remember, UNLV probably has the best record as of this point that they have had in
quite a while.
Maybe the past decade. I'm not even going to think about fact checking that. I'm just going to make it up.
Not worth our effort.
In the past decade,
UNLV hasn't done
best
this
record
well
in 10 years. 12 years, actually.
And you know what? If some UNLV fan comes and fact checks us, we'll remind them they still suck.
But yeah, so they have kind of a mild reason to be able to get excited about their program. You're going to watch some of their fans showing up because to be honest, we are a team to beat within the Mountain West right now.
Yeah.
We are one loss on our record. If they can actually come in and throw down against us and prove that they can actually do something, it speaks very well for their program. So, hey, I would hope that
They can't,
don't.
though. They're not gonna.
No.
I think the Aggies are gonna win this one.
3 touchdowns at least.
I like it.
But no, I would hope that they're going to have more fans than us show up at that game. They deserve to. I mean, they've been playing pretty good football from a win-loss column.
But we'll say this, Derek. I like your attitude.
Oh, yeah.
I like your mentality
Yeah.
of thinking we're getting to a point where Aggie fans are going to start going all spectrum on wheels on teams and outnumbering them in their own house for football games. Let's get there, USU. Let's freaking do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is going to be one of the closer games you're going to be able to pull off. Crap, I'm sure that even flights at this point can't be that expensive out of Salt Lake if you want to just set
No,
it
it
up down
can't
there.
be. It's worth the drive, though. Oh, you get in the car and drive with your friends.
Rent a car for $30 and just get down
Oh,
there and
yeah.
back in a day.
You get those rental cars. The gas mileage alone makes up for some of the cost of renting it because
Yeah.
that's going to be through the roof of what you're driving.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know. If you drive a hybrid, don't listen to me.
Also,
Thank you for looking out for the environment.
thank you. We appreciate that.
That rounds up our segment of the tweet sheet.
And I promise it'll be a whole lot more smooth next week when Jeff is back with his fancy electronics and experience and how to do all that stuff.
That whole Apple iSurface. But hey, one other note. If you guys like this show kind of with Lance and I being super off the wall, tweet us, Let us know. Tweet the Front Row Show.
We would murder Jeff in a second to please you guys. just let us know.
Nobody tell Jeff we said that.
And in fact, if you want to, you could tweet us ideas on how to kill him, and we'll do a poll, and this could get us in a whole
Winner
lot of
gets a
trouble.
t-shirt.
If ironically he happens to die in the next couple days, this is not going to reflect well on us at all.
We should cut this part.
All right, everybody. Now we go into an oldie but goodie as far as segments goes, but we're going to throw our own twist on it tonight. We're going to bust into something and kind of tag team it here. We're calling it Special Time with Matt and Lance.
All right, people. We're about to get historical on you, and then we're about to look to the future. At the time of this recording, it was the night of November the 5th, which is an important day in my history. You see, back in 2006, a little movie came out called V for Vendetta. I loved it. I saw it 4 times in the theaters, and it became an instant favorite of mine. That fall, I was a freshman at Utah State, and in the spirit of the day that the film is centered around, I felt inspired to try and start some kind of revolution of my own. Around this time, USU basketball season had started up, and the attendance at the first exhibition game wasn't good by students. So I took it upon myself, being this little rogue soldier that I was, to do a little work in Microsoft Paint and make some flyers that, using what little money I had, made a handful of copies of, and taped around high-traffic areas advertising the next exhibition game that I think was that next night. It was a small revolution at the time, but it was kind of the first little independent thing I did of many of trying to be involved with Utah State athletics. That was the first, and a year later, around that same time in the year, November the 5th, the refraction came to be. We used that, you know the story on that. We used it to try and unify and coordinate the entire student section. I think we did fairly well with it. But the last 2 years, since I made the horrible mistake of graduating college, that unifying newsletter has been missing. Now, on this 5th of November 2013, a new revolution is upon us. And it comes via the hands of 3 men, one of whom is our very own Lance Rasmussen.
All right. Well, I guess this is my chance to step in, and we'll openly talk about the Bangarang. You want to go and listen to a couple of the last episodes of the Front Row Show? We've been hinting at it for a while. But we're struggling with this fact. The organization is what made the Spectrum special. I mean, you look back at the YouTube highlights through the years of what has really made the student section go berserk as far as view counts goes, our reputation through ESPN, what people have been able to do, what we had guys like Kyle Welliston, who one of the premier mid-major writers in the college basketball world for a long time, what he said when he came and visited the Spectrum specifically to see the atmosphere, that it was because of the organization and the just absolute chaos that was generated and focused by what happened with the refraction. We've been talking about it for a long time, about how individual efforts can come in and make a difference. We're here now to pick up that torch that kind of got, I wouldn't say dropped, but it was left sitting in a wall for a while. No one was running along with it. No one had it lit up. We've got some great people involved in this. Not obviously, I am in no way trying to toot my own horn. I'm working with some guys, Matt being one of them, who's kind of playing the Yoda to our Jedi base, training us up, getting us knowing what he did, and a couple other writers. Steve Schwartzman, another guy who's on the podcast here, who has a just incredible sense of not only humor, but pop culture and everything that we're trying to weave into this, and really, not only that, but sports knowledge and history. That was really what made the refraction special when it was around, it was unfiltered, and it was just off the wall and clever in every possible way. You did everything you could to be able to just find everything you can to be able to really get into the opponent's heads, and not only that, but to really get the Spectrum organized in what it was supposed to do. We're in luck, actually, lately, though, because what year was your last year, Matt?
2011.
2011. 2011 to now has gone through what? You've watched almost 3-4 different iterations of the iPhone come out since that point. Twitter has just exploded with the content it's offering to us. I mean, was Twitter really something you guys dealt a whole lot with back when you guys were writing?
A little bit, not a ton.
And you've seen what we've been able to pull from Twitter just for our first edition this week for USC, okay? Our access into the personal lives of the players that are going to be coming into the Spectrum has increased tenfold, and we've got some wonderful things planned. And here's the deal. We're not going to be associated necessarily hand-in-hand with the Front Row Show. This is going to be something we're going to be doing independently, because we don't want to be tied to an organization over this and have to be accountable to anyone but ourselves for what we're going to be distributing for this. Because, screw it, we're going to have some jokes in there that people may not always approve of. They're going to be dirty. There may be stuff mentioned in them that people might get offended by.
Just like the good old days.
But that's the point. Like, it's not about trying to play a PC card of, oh, let's do something that's going to be able to make us famous and get around that everyone's going to be able to read and look at and be all cool and, yeah, everyone likes this.
Nobody ever crushed an opposing player's soul by being politically correct.
Exactly. So that's what we're here to do. And you know what? I'll toss out, we're at USU Bangarang on Twitter. We've got the USU Bangarang Gmail account that's set up. You guys, open contributions today. If you find something out funny that you want to be able to throw in about another player, do it. If you guys love the way that we're writing our stuff, which we like to think you will, throw us in and let us know. If you hate it and think we're a bunch of dumbasses who don't know what we're doing, well, screw you. We're doing it anyway. I don't care about the that's not the point of what we're doing here. I'm not doing this to try to make anyone pleased with how we're doing. I'm doing it because I know that it is a proven tool to get the Spectrum to the level it needs to be in order for us to be able to defend the home court in the way that we can this year. Let's make it happen.
Not only all of those things, but it just makes game day that much more fun.
And
people have one more thing to look forward to, because they might think, I don't want to miss the game. I got to see what the Bangarang is cranking out this game.
Well, I remember, and obviously you never would have had this experience because you kind of wrote it. But I remember literally waking up and refreshing on the fan sites just to see what was going to be able to come up. And as soon as it came out, I would email my dad at work so he would have it with him. I would print copies up and hand them to my family. And I actually got, I took it on myself. I printed my own copy to bring to the game so Matt didn't have to pay to give me a copy of the paper,
Thanks, man.
No problem. Saved you 5 cents. Several times.
4.5 if you buy the copy cards from the TSC Copy Center.
Shout out to the Copy Center, guys.
What up?
But yeah, and it's just, that was one of the highlights of my game day experience and God, we've been going over some of the archived things. Some of these brilliant content in there. Goodness, we were reading over for the BYU game, had Energy Solutions a couple years ago.
Oh, man.
And what, you're
Lee Kamard selected
God.
5th overall in the grocery baggers draft.
the Petri dish was like half a page of just ridiculous dirt.
It was glorious days. And I'll say this on this 5th of November for everyone out there. Since I graduated and retired from game day newsletters, there have been, I'd say, 4 different crews of people that have approached me and said, "Hey, we wanna do the refraction or something like it." And one crew of guys actually gave it a shot for a game, which ruffled some feathers. And but I'll say this: there have been a handful of people that came and said, "I want to do this. I want to start writing again." But I just kind of knew deep down. No offense to them, great people, great dudes, but I knew deep down they didn't have what it took. They didn't get the game enough. They didn't know sports enough. They didn't know humor enough, and they didn't know how to just write to relate to people enough. When Lance and Steve came to me and said, "We want to do this," I knew right away, yes, absolutely, hell yes, this is finally the crew that can get it done. Because I mean, you hear Lance and I on the air. We keep in mind, we only met each other a couple months ago doing this podcast together.
Aside from, the eternity we knew each other before.
Right.
It's been
When
destiny. Destiny for eons, my friend.
Right. It was the souls that were dropped in volcanoes by the evil Lord Xenu. We were all tied by that. But
Wait, are we Scientologists?
We
Is
just
that where
went
we
there.
went?
Just went there.
Okay.
Might want to bleep that. Just because
they'll come after
us. But Lance just gets it. I realized that quick, and I've known Steve Schwartzman for a long time now. For I'd say a good 4 or 5 years, from writing together at the Statesman. The dude is absolutely hilarious. He's been one of the best writers that newspaper has had for as long as I can remember. He knows sports. He knows how to make people laugh. His stuff will be in depth. It'll make you think, and you will need to be on top of a lot of references. But when you get them, it will blow your mind what this dude is capable of.
And when you don't get them, ask your neighbor.
Exactly, or Google it, and it will be worth your while. But the Bangarang is happening, all right? And I've been helping these kids.
Let me ask this real quick. We've got all of our content written for SC already, and we're sitting Tuesday night.
Yeah.
We're just organizing and formatting at this point. Matt's already read. And once again, this is just purely to get you guys stoked for what's going on. Good issue?
It's as good as a game day newsletter at Utah State has ever been. I am saying that, and I have contributed almost nothing to this. I mean, I've tried to show you guys how to use a program to lay it out, and that's pretty much it. These guys, they have ideas, they have vision, they're bouncing it off each other, and it is going to be phenomenal for the Spectrum.
That's all we can say, guys. I mean, that's our big revolution. That's our Guy Fawkes moment of the night, I suppose. Here's the deal. We're lining up outside the Spectrum hours early. We'll be there Friday. Get there with us. Get celebrating.
You've taken the grill?
The grill's going to be there. Yeah, I'm taking the grill. We'll.
There you go.
I'll have a grill there. You guys want to bring meats? We'll fire it up.
Are there going to be early issues of the Bangarang for people to check out?
There will be one loaded up online. I'm not quite sure how we're going to handle distribution yet because we're in once again a new era of technology. We have more access through the internet than you guys.
Gotta print them out, dude.
So yeah, no, we'll
gotta print them out.
We'll be here's where we'll be. I know we're planning on having a couple hundred printed out for distribution within the Spectrum once the game starts. You'll see members of the Front Row Show, but specifically me and Steve, out passing things out. Give us a shout out. Let us know you want a copy. Let us know what you think of it. We'll be passing them out. We're always up for hearing things. We're hoping to be down in bottom of Section F to start the game off. I'm hoping I can go and maybe steal a little bit of Matt's old seat thunder and seat 4 of row 1, and we'll see how that rolls out. But yeah, we'll be passing them out at the start of the game. We'll hit the entire student section. If people who listen to this are sitting in the rest of the house, they want one, let us know. We'll try to get one over to you. And tentatively, just to throw the plug in, because we are all poor college students, The guys over at USUstats.com are actually going to be helping us host this just the same way they did with the refraction. And I believe there should still be a link up. If you guys want to donate purely to help with printing costs, it's 100% going towards the paper that this is going to be going on. I mean, we're going to be trying to throw out 400, 500, 600 double-sided copies this week, which is going to be a little choppy for us. So, if you guys can throw anything our way, couple bucks at a time, it's going straight to the old refraction donation services. Matt will get it taken care of for us. We'd really appreciate it. This is 100% about us getting the Spectrum and Aggie Nation where it needs to be for this upcoming season. And really, once again, we're in competition against the Pit is probably one of the most storied home court advantages in the nation. The show is a lot of talk.
Yeah.
And it's about time for us to
Takes
be able...
a lot of effort to talk that big.
Yeah.
So you got to worry about at least their effort in that respect.
And it's about time we show up and really show what we're made of. And that's
Remind
where we're
everyone
coming
that
up.
the Spectrum is as good as it gets.
You know what? Throw around some hook references while you're at it during the week.
There's going to be a lot.
Get it
you
going.
can fly, you can fight, and you can crow.
Let's make it happen, Aggie
Shout out to all the Lost Boys. I'll tell you this much, dude. Once you have that first person, if you go out with a stack of those bangerangs, once you have that first person actually ask you for a copy, it'll all be worth it. And I'll never forget the first time that I busted him out and somebody asked him for one. And that moment, like, I could just still picture it all unfolding. Sean, you know who you are. It's a pretty cool thing just to have people wanting it and to make the Spectrum what it can be.
Well, and our response last week, we did our season preview edition, was fantastic. Steve and one of the other front rowers, Kyle Haywood, actually took the lead on distributing that one. And once again, I couldn't be there at the start of that game, but they said the feedback was phenomenal. And once again, I'm not trying to do this to be like, guys, listen to how great we are. But I'm trying to do it is to get you guys to buy into something that we believe will work. And we have other people saying is going to work because of what we put out. And let me tell you this. That preview edition, it was great in that I think it got people hyped for stuff. We haven't even touched the surface of what we're going to be able to do from a humor perspective. Man. So, you know what? Let's do this together. We can make this go hand in hand. We will be there Friday. Watch for your hard copies. We'll tweet out a link earlier. Hopefully the Herd's going to retweet that the way that they said that they'd be able to. Read up on it. Get the dirt ready. And get ready for some new cheers, some organization. Bangarang Aggies.
Get ready to get your arms around.
Yep.
Bangarang Aggies. So, Lance, what do we do now? Do we clap for ourselves for that rant?
I don't know.
Or do we just pretend like Jeff's here finally and behave?
Hi, Jeff. No.
No applause, huh?
No. Jeff is not here. This is our night.
This is our night.
I'm not giving this back to Jeff.
Is this going to go down as the longest podcast we've ever had, too? Yeah. We're getting the yes nod. Shout out to our sound engineer, Trevor Weller, by the way. We realized that we have not credited him enough in these podcasts, not that he wanted to be.
Not only that, just to give you guys a piece and an idea of what he does, here's the recording all of the podcasts that the Front Row Network puts out. Been a bit of a gap in some of them lately, but he has just completely selflessly donated his time to get these out to you guys and to make us look great, which I'm really appreciative of.
Except for those Easter eggs at the end of every show. He's always trying to catch us on something.
Yeah, but we do that to ourselves.
He's like, Matt, how was your weekend? And I tell him the story, and he's like, gotcha. I'm like, again? But anyway, I'd say this has been a solid episode.
Yeah.
It's been a lot more off the wall, but you know what? I hope people enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I hope people here get stoked on the Aggies and high fives and game day newsletters because, gosh dang it, that's what Aggie Nation is all about. And we can do it better than anyone if we all get our arms around each other for it.
I'm down.
Let's
make it happen. It goes down this week. Once again, USC this Friday, home opener, season opener for the basketball team. Get there. The Spectrum should be bumping. It's nationally televised, guys. This is exactly what we've wanted for years, is how many games we have televised nationally. People are going to be paying attention to what we have to offer. In the meantime, go watch Froggy Fresh dunk on so you can know what we're going to be whipping out for that
Absolutely. That is going to be a thing that put me on the floor with laughter when I heard it from the Herd the other day. It's going to be spectacular.
And real quick, I'll give the shout out or the instruction real quick over the air. throwing in a new chant for free throws this year. It'll be in the next edition of the Bangarang, so you can read up on it. Made shot. We talked about it on this show before.
Yes.
On a made free throw. First name of the player on the court who just made it. Bangarang Ben. Bangarang Preston.
Whoosh. Bangarang Spencer.
Anything, and they'll announce who's shooting the free throw right before. Remember who the name is.
You know the names.
Okay?
And look, if you're coming to the games, you know the names of these guys. You get familiar with the team. So it's going to be something
and
new.
And you know what? Homework. This is homework assigned for everyone. Go watch Hook between now and the next game.
Absolutely.
I think that's it for us for the night.
That's a good place to finish off.
I mean, if you want, we could do a post.
I dare say Pan's back.
Yeah.
And he's got his happy thoughts, and he's ready to kill some pirates.
He has picked up that teddy he dropped and is now wearing leaves and tights instead of his old lawyer clothes. That might have gone a bit far, but still.
The Spectrum, you know what? Everybody's been wondering when it's going to happen.
It's back.
I truly believe the Spectrum is fully coming back this Friday versus USC. Be there. Be a part of it. Let's freaking go, Aggies. For the Front Row Show, who are you?
Wait, is this where I make up a name again?
No, give it your real one.
I'm Lance Rasmussen.
And I am Matt Sonnenberg. Go Aggies! Lance, put your down. God, for once, I'm the only guy not looking at.
Hey, Aggie fans. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Front Row Show. Don't forget to check out all our episodes, podcasts, and articles on our website, usufrontrow.com. Also, subscribe to us on Twitter at usufrontrow. Check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/usufrontrow. And join us this Saturday for a road game watch party at Savannah's Barbecue, 880 South Main. Go Aggies!